We are back, episode 2 of the NoCare podcast. We have our first guest, the local Cutties supporter, Parker Grobe, is with us today.
Didn't deny it.
Nope, it's out there. It's out there.
I mean, I saw.
Oh wait, you talking about the movie?
Yeah.
No.
I saw your beautiful shrine of those.
No, I've never seen it. Never want to watch it. I don't.
They're Muslim. Well, one of them is Muslim.
Yes.
Well, essentially, I read an article that was like the director wanted to make it to talk about how it's the over sexualizing of like younger and younger kids.
Yeah,
but Netflix like poorly like did
marketed
that. Yeah, marketed it. So then it just like everyone watching it was like and apparently the director's career is like burned.
Well, so Netflix definitely had a hand in marketing it and making it worse, but I've seen some clips from it just from watching like YouTubers react to it.
Yeah,
it's terrifying. There's like one scene. This 11-year-old Muslim girl goes and takes like a pussy pic and then sends it like using her uncle's phone, and then there's another scene where they're trying to break into like a dance competition and they get stopped by two like old dudes, like two security guards, and they're like, you show us a cool dance and then we will let you through, and they start twerking and just like humping the ground.
That's
really unsettling.
Like even with that idea of the French director wanting to go in, I don't know his or her name, I think it's a her, but
either way, it's still a bad look.
No. I think with the execution she was going for, it's still like if that was what she wanted, it still doesn't. That's not the way to go about it. If that makes sense.
No, and that's definitely the general
even
consensus.
If you have the right intent, this is not the way you go about making this.
Yeah.
Because it just comes off. It comes off as like giving away, and
you're gonna get bad angles
it,
no matter what.
Yeah, it's, no matter how you view it, it's gonna be seen as negative by a certain group of people.
Well, it should be seen as negative by everybody because it is.
But if she was going in with that message she was trying to show, I think that she wanted to, but it just, no matter what, people are going to see it and be like, see it at face value anyway, and most people don't read into the nuance of movies anyway, I feel like.
Well, I mean, if there was properly like develop nuance to it, then at least you could ignore those people and say like, okay, you're just not reading into the movie, you're not actually paying attention. But like if you really look at it, all of like the ass shots of these little girls and how they have like 5-minute segments of them all just like doing really sexualized dancing, it's not tasteful.
It's like catch-22 because you're both putting it out there. Well, even if you're saying it's wrong, you're still
can you
putting
imagine
it out
like
there.
how many pedophiles are celebrating the release of
Especially
Cutties on Netflix?
It's like Netflix is normally pretty good at what they release, and it's normally on point. So when this comes out, it's like, what are you doing?
I'd say overall Netflix has like a pretty good track record with their shows. I mean, I haven't watched all of them. I'm sure there's shitty.
Well, a lot of their movies too, like the independent movies are.
Yeah, like do you ever see Icarus, the documentary about? It was about this dude who was a biker, and he contacted this one Russian dude who used to work for the Russian Olympic teams, and he was helping him pretty much like dope up for like take a ton of testosterone.
I was just gonna say, was it doping?
yeah, and it's a really like I think it won an Oscar. It might have. Jay, can you check that out?
Yeah.
Well, there's that Jamie. There's that The King, which was like half Shakespeare, half history on King Henry. And his war with France, like that was really good. And even like not specifically Netflix release stuff, but small independent stuff. Like I don't know if you saw Rise of Empires, Ottomans. It talked about the siege of Constantinople. It was just really well done. Half of it had historians talking through it. I think it was a Turkish director. Jay, can you look that up?
1 second. I have this already figured out.
No, you're fine.
It won Best Documentary in 2018.
Okay. So yeah, it was fantastic. You should really watch it because it's amazing.
I think Netflix really goes about the way of producing and the idea of shotgun effect, where they just put a lot out there and some of it's going to stick and some of it won't.
And you never really see the stuff that doesn't stick.
Well, I also do appreciate that though, because it gives a voice to like movies that would not be produced regularly.
And I like the way that Netflix does things because, to my understanding, what they do is they just fund a ton of projects that they find interesting. It's not like they really have. I mean, they do have creative influence in that they like pay for everything, but. for the most part, it's just them like buying this company and giving them the opportunity to like make something good.
And I don't think you need to flush Netflix down the toilet with Cutties. Like, yes, it's a horrible misstep, but
it's like Disney with Song of the South. Like everyone's still watching Disney.
It's like clearly Netflix did not watch the movie before they bought it.
Let's just play it. Yeah, it's
the
fine.
crazy thing about Song of the South too, when Disney produced it, when the movie came out, I forget what year, I can look it up, but when the movie came out, it was considered racist for the time,
which is like
for the time.
Well, have you ever gone back and watched any? Like, I remember watching Dumbo when I was a kid, and for some reason it was like I was like deep in the YouTube. It's like 2 a.m. You're like, oh yeah, and it was like everything wrong with Dumbo, and I'm like, oh, I love that kid when I was like that movie when I was a kid, and then you watch it and you're like, oh my god, this is beyond racist that like you didn't pick up.
Yeah, so I mean, if anything, I don't hold that against like older movies.
Yeah, I mean, I do. 60s.
So I do hold it against them for supporting racism. But in the sense that when we were watching it as kids, it's not like we actually processed all of these things, and it's like subconsciously.
It's not like I was watching Dumbo because
developing into adult racism or something. I don't think it really had any impact because as a kid, you're not really watching the movie for like the plot.
And I
just watching it because
it's a Disney movie. There's an animal and
there's animals talking. You think that's cool.
There's plenty of cases like you go back and watch John Wayne movies and you're like,
oh god,
you go back and watch any movie.
We had that at right before my birthday. We were watching this John Wayne movie. I can't remember what it was, but like every other scene was just horrific the whole time. The best John Wayne movie out there is, I think it's The Conqueror, and he plays who's the Mongolian conqueror?
Genghis Khan.
He plays Genghis Khan, but they didn't get any Mongolian actors. They only got Mexican actors to play. You watch it and you're like, wait, how is John Wayne Genghis Khan? And they just cake like red makeup on him, and you're just like, oh, this is a bad look, John.
And then you have the opposite effect going on now, though, because I don't know if either of you have seen the live action Mulan.
I've heard a lot of terrible things about
it's nothing like the original. So first of all, there's multiple layers of why this movie's bad.
Oh yeah,
this movie's bad because it cuts out all of the songs.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Mulan. That's like half the point.
That's the Disney movie.
Mulan "I'll Make a Man Out of You" is one of like the best Disney songs of all time.
Yeah,
and they cut that out.
Sounds sexual.
They didn't make it.
I don't know.
Have you never seen?
No.
Oh, it's a good.
I haven't seen a lot of like Disney. I've never seen Lion King.
Well, you don't have any sisters. Like we both have.
That's fair.
And I'm a Disney person.
Oh, and he's him.
Yeah. So but in "I'll Make a Man Out of You" is the scene where Mulan's about a female who they're recruiting people to go to war in China, and they have to send every male in the family, every male that's available.
I didn't know it was about war.
Yeah, they're fighting Genghis Khan in it.
They're fighting John Wayne.
So is he like a rapist? Does he rape? Because he did a lot of rape.
No, it's again a child.
So it's like, a children's movie.
In this day and age, like
no, they got.
When was it? Like early 2000s?
Yeah, early 2000s. I think it was
maybe
like
90s.
Because I think if you're releasing a movie like that within that time era, like from 80s to like 2010s, I can understand you like whitewashing it. But like back in the day when it's like everything was racist, I could almost see Disney including like Genghis Khan raping
just
like, thousands of women.
Well, he's
but like not actually like explicitly show it, but somehow.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe.
But so Mulan is a female, and
I know that much.
And she's like, I don't want my father to go to war because he's this old dude who walks with a cane. Like he's just not. But he's like, I have to go. It's for my country, and he's all down for it. But she poses as a man and joins the army. And "I'll Make a Man Out of You" is the entire song of them like training, and it's the lead general.
And she's kicking everyone's ass.
They'll make a man out of everyone there, but it's also the idea of like Mulan's a female, so like I'm gonna make a man out of you.
I was thinking along a much darker sense.
Yeah,
in that,
like,
we
could follow
I'll make a man out of you, as in like some like older female is like teaching a younger boy who's like 11 or 12.
No, this is
not a product of our times. There's a lot of weird.
This is Disney.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Can you blame me for thinking that?
There's so much incest porn on Pornhub. Like I don't know when they decided.
I don't actually watch any.
My mother watches this podcast, and she's gonna know that I just referenced.
You probably just cut that out.
Anita, I'm not a sinner. I don't watch porn.
Not getting in.
I don't either. I only heard about.
We're like 4 minutes in, and we're on porn already.
So should we talk about porn? Do you guys know who Eric Weinstein is?
Yeah, he was
related to Harvey.
No, he's doing the Articles of Unity.
He's like a super, just like really smart dude, physicist. He has.
I actually do know what you're talking about.
He has like a podcast called The Portal, and he actually brought on Riley Reid, whose name is Ashley Matthews.
Oh yeah, wait, didn't JRE have on?
He hasn't had. He's had Eric Weinstein on. A lot of times.
She's talked about.
But she went to a convention, like a talk with Sam Harris, Eric Weinstein, and some other smart people, and then he pretty much found her through that methods. And it's hard to listen to a porn star and not think about all the unspeakable acts that they have done. But if you can get past that, she's a reasonably intelligent person. And I mean, I don't know if I'm as like pro sex as a lot of like progressive people are these days in terms of like, oh, we need to start educating children about sex when they're like 8 years old. But
Family Guy did a really funny bit on that. It was, I want to say it was like 10 years ago, and it was the whole episode was like hardcore Christians like, oh, no sex ed, nothing in school, and then progressives like, nah, you should probably do it, and then but the joke was the progressives were like 4th grade, and then everyone was like, no, and so. It was South Park. It wasn't Family Guy. South Park.
I was gonna say more
South Park. And the one teacher was like 17, junior year of high school. Just that's it. That's a good like point one to teach. But
it's a hard topic to
maybe like
go
sophomore, freshman.
Because in like the past few decades, puberty has been trending downwards in the age that it starts because of like a variety of reasons. But as a result, the emotional side of your brain, loosely speaking, develops faster than your decision-making part of your brain. I think because of that, children are becoming more sexually like attuned to their surroundings at an earlier age, which is like 11, 12 right now, probably more towards 12, but a little bit younger for girls. And I definitely think children should have, maybe not children, but like preteens or teens should have some like.
Do you think phones playing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, because I was looking. I got some random ass girl on Instagram asking to follow me, and I looked at her profile, and she was like, it was like some college, like 25 or something. It's just like weird, and then the pictures on her profile were just really sexualized. It's so unnerving. Like if I have a daughter, I'm gonna not let them use social media for a long time.
Well, yeah,
probably the same thing with a guy. It's not gonna change.
Yeah. Well, or like not give them a phone. Like I didn't get a phone until like 6th grade. Even then, it was a flip like track phone.
Yep.
Yeah. I was so happy that I had that and not, because I was thinking the other day, like every time I pass my phone, I like pick it up and check it, like and like it's like
a disease.
3 to 5 minutes, but that just adds up, and I'm like, I can't go anywhere without like, oh, do I have my phone? Like, where am I? I miss the early 2000s stereotypical 90s kids where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna get my bike and go to my friend's house and I'll call my parents on the landline later. Nowadays it's like, oh, I've got the GPS tracker, he's there in 20 minutes.
Send me your address.
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk put it best when he said that we're basically cyborgs, we're just not good at it yet.
Right.
Because we have we're
already
we can't
attached to
survive
technology.
without technology
right
now.
And it's almost
so
like
it's just
terrifying.
not efficient at this point. So you could either double down and make I hedge towards the side of doubling down and making it more efficient because like I don't think we're going to be able to.
There's no way to separate us from the advancement of technology.
And we're not going back. Like unless there's something that Pandora's crazy happens.
It would be stupid to go back. For all the benefits, if we could somehow make it so that we have all the benefits of technology without, or at least mitigating the downsides, then that would be amazing. And that we're already at the this.
Well, there's crazy. I've read a couple things about like the Amish and like the levels of like depression and stuff, and there's like just these weird like connections with like modern technology and diseases we have now. Like the Amish have like a scarily low what's it called when you need an inhaler, asthma rate. They have an extremely low asthma rate. Really? And a lot of my mom actually put me onto this, and she said it's a lot of it might be coming from the toxins and like living in like a barn and like not having like the perfect air growing up is causing them to not have to rely on things like that.
I would disagree only because this house we're in used to be my grandparents' house, and my grandmother would always chain smoke cigs, and Jack used to have asthma, but my older brother Seth has asthma, and it's definitely influenced. I think a lot of kids, when like their parents were working or something and they had their grandparents watch them, everyone's grandparents smoked cigs at some point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the asthma, I think, is because of that. And with Amish people, it's because they don't really engage in like substance.
It could be going outside.
There's multiple layers.
I mean, it's not
weird.
The Amish and like
yeah.
And I'm not like pro Amish. I think the Amish.
No, dude,
I'm
listen. They're not the worst. I see Amish people when I take trains back from Worcester to Rochester, and also down by Cuca Lake. I went to go pick up some wood, like from some Amish people, because they sell wood for super cheap. I don't think any of them ever shower. They smell terrible, terrible. They're just
you're working all day.
Technically, they're Mennonites, but they're
Mennonites
terrible.
can technically use some like Mennonites. If you
they
go
really
to a
don't,
store, you can. But like in like when you're going to sell a bunch of like goods, Mennonites could go in a car, and it's not against.
I have a funny story about this.
Yeah, it's strange to a lot of people.
So you know how I used to live in Indiana?
Yes.
You freak.
In the Midwest. Yeah, we don't talk about it. But so my sister was really big into horseback riding, and for a time I was. And so the barns all out there are Mennonites. I said so.
No, keep it up.
Your sister's a horse girl. Like.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep going. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. Whatever.
Apologize to Anita.
What?
Your mother watches this podcast. So it was all Mennonites, and I remember it was like Super Bowl Sunday, and we were at the barn for some reason because we're not.
Of course, who isn't at the barn in Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah, we're not big football people, unless it's the Bills. Go Bills! But
we should crash this table at some point. Just
it will happen by the end of this. This will turn into the Alex Jones Jerry podcast. I'll be passed out, smashing the table, and be like, "All right, that's it. We're
on like 15 different substances at once."
Yeah. So anyway,
just screaming.
So just yelling by the end of it, shirtless. So we walk into the barn and we hear like the TV playing. We're like, oh, that's weird. Maybe it was like radio or like someone at the barn has some. Oh, it's like Super Bowl Sunday. Someone's listening to it, and we like walk past one of the rooms, and it's like 15 Mennonite guys, and they're huddled around this tiny box TV, and they're all watching it. And like we step back and we're like, oh hey, like who's winning? And they all flip out, turn. TV's gone. They all bolt out the door.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, I'm out. Like, can't get caught watching. It was like.
Did they think you were gonna report them?
No.
You guys have a history.
Indiana neighbors, like, are they gonna be ousted from the?
No. They're gonna track where I lived and which barn
I
we
will
went to.
triangulate it.
Go for it.
And release
Go
the
for
documents.
There's not a cult of like which barns are owned by who.
Have you ever seen Amish Mafia though?
That get out of here.
I mean, listen.
No,
complete BS. At the same time, it's kind of it's like one of those like TLC shows or like one of those like cheap or TV shows where everything is pre-written, but it's so bad it's amazing. Like, what was
South
Beach Toe? Is that what you're thinking about?
Yep,
yes.
immediately. Yep.
That was on.
What was that?
What's that? It's a show with like Impractical
True TV.
Jokers. True TV. Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
That's
no. Do you remember?
Garbage.
Do you remember Discovery actually had facts on it? Before?
Mythbusters. I loved Mythbusters.
Yeah. Didn't the Asian dude die?
Yes. He did.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was really.
What was it from?
What's his name? I can't think of his name.
It's not
Imahara.
Yeah.
Grandma.
Grandma. Yeah.
Grandma. Yeah. It was really. He died of like a stroke. Like he just like.
Yeah.
Like
out of nowhere, I think.
But that show was fantastic.
I honestly think that's what got me into engineering was that show. Because like all I want to do for fun is just build stuff in my garage. And like I'm like, yeah, I just want to have like dream job, be on Mythbusters 2000 to 2008 or whenever the show was, you know.
See, like it inspired in you an idea of engineering. For me, I was just like, I just want to watch things explode. I just want to like you don't understand.
You like destroy, build, destroy.
Dude,
with
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Whenever they gave the options of like, oh, we could.
I'd be popping off at the TV. Like,
why would you? Yeah. It was like we have 3 dudes like baseball bat your project. We get 4 RPGs and blow it up, or we just push it over. And you're like 4 RPGs, and they're like hit it with a truck, and you're
it's like a nuclear weapon or sandcastle building too.
I swear, I don't know if I like. I swear, one episode they were like, yeah, we'll shoot a torpedo at it, and I was just like, please, how much I would kill to be a kid and just watch it get blown up by a torpedo. Like I just wanted to feel the like. Shockwave and an explosion, like that, like feeling I've always wanted.
Did you ever watch Dude What Would Happen?
Yes, I love Dude What Would Happen.
It's like pretty much the same idea. It's like kids Mythbusters.
Yeah.
That was also great. Where they would just blow up school buses. They were really bored. They had no idea.
Just Joker style.
Yeah, it's pretty much like stoner talk for preteens that didn't know what weed was.
There was a small time on Cartoon Network where they're like, "What if we didn't put cartoons out and we put out like live action TV shows?" And Destroy, Build, Destroy, and Do What Would Happen came out of that. And I wish we could come back to that time.
No, because
I'm saying I've said this multiple times. I know I was born in '99 and not really a '90s kid.
I know what you're gonna say.
'92 to 2007, golden age minus 2001, golden age for the rest of it.
No, you were born in 2001.
No, I wasn't born in 2001.
So playing
minus the Iraq-Afghan war.
Dangerously playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
If you
cut this, go ahead.
Go ahead.
9/11 did more bad than it did good. Right. However, it did unify the country, and that unification lasted for a good span of years.
Oh, I completely agree. That's not a hot. I don't think that's playing.
Well, the way that I worded it in my head before I said what I said was
say
very.
9/11 was good. Like
I wasn't gonna say 9/11 was good.
Let me think about.
Think about 9/11.
No, but I'm saying that golden age, like no cell phones, no social media, like. I remember in Indiana, it was like, imagine the biggest suburban like housing complex, just neighborhood you've got here, and times that by 10, because everything out there is flat. And
that's the best. Suburban neighborhoods.
You can just social media. You can bike anywhere. You're like, Mom, I'm going to my friend's house. I'll be home by dinner. Or like, I remember the kids down the street. Their mom had a bell. And so, like, they'd ring the bell, and, like, wherever you are in the neighborhood, you just, like... And some of the houses had different bells.
Wait. It sounds like slavery. Like,
no. You didn't have cell phones, so you can't text your kids, so you whistle, or you just, like... Because you're playing outside, because you're young. It was a nice...
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, for me, it was...
For now, because it's like, oh, Mom wants me home, I gotta text my phone. But it's like, I can bike anywhere, like, I'm gonna be fine, and you're just outside...
Yeah, like for me, I was in the suburban neighborhood, and we went across the street, like my friends across the street. So like, it wasn't a bell. My mom would just like walk out the front door and be like, "Hey, dinner's ready." And we'd have to come back. Yeah. And then you'd like have that I miss those conversations so much. Where like you have the conversation with your friends, and you're sitting there like, "All right, so after dinner, here's the plan. Here's what we're gonna do. Like, we're gonna play Manhunt till it gets dark, and then we'll play Ghosts in the Graveyard, and then have a fire." Yeah. Or I don't know if you guys had this experience, but I would always. Whenever I went over a certain like friend's house, I would like fake fall asleep to try and have a sleepover.
Never did that. I would just ask them, "Yo, do you want to have a sleepover?"
No. Like we would like collude, me and my friend, and we'd be like, "All right, so like it's gonna get late, and like if we're staying in like our parents are friends, and like they're having a couple of drinks, we're like, all right, so like around this time we'll fake fall asleep."
Yo, wait till Mom and Dad get shit cocked, and then we can...
Wait till Mom and Dad are done arguing with each other. And once Dad is
my parents are fighting, can I come to your house?
So mom's been passed out for 2 hours.
No, it was just always like we would always pretend to like fall asleep so we could stay over and then like have a sleepover and have like extra time together. I just remember like those days of just having sleepovers back.
Or way more.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because like I'm 20 now and a sleepover now means let's get drunk. But like
you drink?
Jake, you're 20 years old.
You know your mom is watching the podcast.
She's gonna beat your ass when you get home.
I'm so sorry.
I love how you call your mom by her first name.
Could you give me some more water, please?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I'm 21, so I don't give a shit.
do you want what? Yeah, give me the
Poland Springs.
Blue water or the local river water?
Let's go with blue water. We'll spice it up a little bit. Although I do like Genesee water.
No, I remember at one point my friend and I had to be like 4th, 5th grade. We got walkie-talkies and our houses were close enough.
That's revolutionary.
Yeah,
that changes
the game.
And because it hit me one day because we were having a Nerf war and we were like riding bikes and whatever.
Oh, those are the days too. Having
and we walkie-talkies and we're like. Yeah, he's down the hill like a couple hundred feet. I can't see him. We're like, all right, I'm in the starting spot. Are you in the start? All right, 3, 2, 1, go. And then he did whatever. And at the end of the day, we're like, yeah, wait a minute. I'll bring the walkie-talkie to my house, and we can just keep talking. And it was almost like when you got the phone for the first time and you could just text your friend and immediately won over. Yeah. And it, I remember sitting watching a movie and the walkie-talkie be like, "Yo, you there?" And be like, "Oh my god!" Like, absolutely wild.
We missed like the Sandlot era where, in terms of like having like cans with strings. Yeah, I have no idea if that actually works. I guarantee it doesn't.
I'm an engineer and I have no idea.
I have no idea if that works, but
I feel like it was prevalent enough of like a societal thing that maybe
it started. It definitely, if you look at. This is a weird side tangent. Battleships from like early 1900s.
How does it?
They have cans under the water.
No. So you have your
torpedo was a can,
and it was on a string, and you could So you have like in the the top of the deck, tubes going to different parts of the ships. Like in the playground when you have a tube at the base of the playground and the top, and you yell into the tube. That's what it was. It wasn't. Pick up a phone. It was shout into the tube like, "Yo, back of the ship's on fire. We're going down.
Everyone is dead.
Everyone's dead.
We've hit an iceberg and we are sinking."
Well, that was like some of the early communication systems in ships.
Yeah. So, but would that even? There's no way.
I don't know about strings.
I feel like it would just be like what is it? Is it what's the like Charlie something?
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
I still hear that sometimes when my parents talk. They're like, all right.
After a certain level of conversation, you're just like, all right. Yeah. Like in class.
That is one of the few like childhood things that I've watched, which I feel like it's like 50-50 if that's just our era of people or not, our era of kids like growing up with Charlie Brown or not.
Well, it started with our parents.
Yeah,
it was our parents, and then it like revitalized, like just like Tom and Jerry. The old Tom and Jerry.
Oh, I watched a lot of Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I hated Tom and Jerry. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why.
What's wrong with
you?
Tom
Hate
and Jerry is fantastic.
I never understood the concept. I was just like, speak. Just talk. And
they're animals.
You watch too much Disney. You thought all animals talk.
Exactly. Like, all the other cartoons.
They're not going to break into song. Like the old Tom and Jerry's are violent, and it's really funny.
Or like one of the ones that it's pretty popular, like, and it's using like a lot of memes on Instagram. One of the later episodes is where Tom is like going after this really rich girl.
Really
rich
girl. The cowboy, and he's got the cigarette.
And he gets into like a hard depression. He starts drinking a ton of milk, and he gets really drunk, and then he goes to like a bridge. and Sarah shows up, and
then he tells it. That was good. Good throwback.
Pretty dark. But again,
realities
one of
of life
things that goes over most kids' heads. You really pick up. He's just drinking milk.
It's for the parents who are watching with the kids like, oh my god, I can relate to this cartoon.
Like your dad is crying because your mom left. That's too relatable. Because you can relate to
my
it
parents
so
have
much.
a wonderful relationship. I'm just putting that
so do mine. I
love your parents.
Like, honestly,
your parents are both your parents are
all of us are so lucky to have like parents that love each other and like have a stable home.
I want to hang out with your parents almost as much as I want to hang out with you guys, which is really funny.
That's concerning.
Yeah. They're funny. I don't care who you are. If you make me laugh, it's good.
Well, what if it's a pedophile?
Oh well, that clearly. All right, Hitler, pedophile is obviously off the table.
Racists are on the table.
Yeah, no, off the table. Hitler's under racist. All right, we're moving on.
We need a list.
This is. I'll give you an Excel file of all the people I won't talk to.
Please.
Can you do it alphabetically, but reverse alphabetically? So starting with Z.
Can I hit him? Yeah. Can we perform violence on this podcast?
So you can push your balls.
This is already becoming the Alex Jones podcast.
No, listen, we haven't brought any conspiracy theories yet.
Oh my god, I need more.
But before we do, can I circle back to Nerf Wars real quick? Can we talk about
I used to have Nerf Wars.
The greatest armistice of all time. I.e., when you would stop shooting because everyone ran out of bullets, so everyone could go pick up the bullets and then go back to where you were
Geneva
standing.
Convention of Nerf. Can we talk about the technological innovation? Because I went through like before Nerf was really big. My parents would not let me buy like toy guns when I was really little, so
that worked.
I just started. So I just started.
That makes your own weapons now.
I started building like rubber band shooters stuff. My parents caved in and were like, all right, fine. Like here's Christmas.
This kid's lost.
He's done. Here you go.
He's the last child.
My brother and I. Yeah, I'm the youngest.
We already had two good ones.
We're 2 for 3. It's
tearing
fine.
in a park.
And so Christmas we built like forts all over the house and did all that. But I remember going from like the early Nerf guns to my friends and I in like 3rd to 5th grade modifying, like taking them apart.
Oh yeah,
bigger springs,
getting rid of the air constrictor. So
putting in PVC tubes so the barrel's better. That then to blow darts, which was just PVC tube.
Then to blow after that.
Yeah, then to straight coke. 6th grade.
Nerf to cocaine is an easy jump. I'm just throwing that out there.
Do you think
it's Nerf or nothing?
Honestly, let's think about that for a second. People that are huge into like action. Listen, let me make my point.
All right. Here we go. I'm ready.
You're one of the lucky ones. You haven't turned into a cokehead. But think about this. People that do coke, they want to live in the present. They want lots of action. They want rapid speed. You know, they need something going on all the time.
Did you just watch Fast and Furious?
No, but I should. R.I.P.
No, they're terrible. They're terrible movies.
They are. Well, it depends on if you're sober or not. If you're not sober, great time. Some of those movies, like Transformers,
debatable. All right.
Like Transformers is one of those I can't.
The first 3 Transformers.
No, the first Transformers movie I will say is really good. Yeah, I love it.
And then the second one's not bad. I love that Linkin Park did the soundtrack to all of them too. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'd say
I'm a big Linkin Park fan.
I'd like to be sponsored by Linkin Park, please.
Linkin Park. Rip Chester.
Kurt Cobain, please sponsor us.
If MJ's out there in Cuba with Tupac, please.
This is Michael Jackson. We're re-editing.
I hate my college major. I need money. I don't want to work a job.
Parker will work as a pedophile.
No, cut it.
Money.
Cut that out.
That's the vibe you were giving me. I just went off.
I'm going to be a school bus driver with my engineering degree.
Oh, you're going somewhere else?
No. Nerf guns to that. No.
But anyways,
cocaine.
What was I saying?
Yeah, coke.
I feel like if you're one of those kids who all you want is action and sugar as a young kid, when you become a teenager, you can't focus on anything. You have severe ADHD, or at least that's what the doctors tell you, the psychiatrists. They're probably wrong. You're probably just a normal kid.
Right.
But you go through life, you know, super addicted to action and whatever. They put you on Ritalin, Prozac. You need these drugs to survive. Your mom is like, no, you gotta stop taking these. You're a shell of yourself. So what do? You take cocaine instead. You start snorting cocaine.
Have you seen
your
the
mom's
Dave?
Jewelry?
It's good business.
Ransack your house, sell your TVs.
Don't forget the remote. You don't want to jump over.
Take the batteries out though.
Yeah,
batteries out. Because you need the battery acid to smoke later. You gotta smoke the.
I was gonna say drink, but that's good too.
You could do that too. I've never drank battery acid. Can you believe it?
No one age 20 had to drink battery acid.
Can you put that
on a battery acid virgin?
Your LinkedIn.
Yeah, throw that on your resume. Just like,
I have not consumed battery acid. It sounded like a Donald Trump quote. No, I've never consumed battery acid. I'm not saying I won't.
I love it. Remember the meme I sent you where it was like the caption was your wife telling you not to wear a tuxedo?
Oh my god, that was so funny.
And it's Trump saying, I can if I want to.
I haven't done it yet.
I haven't done it yet. I can.
We're entering a negotiation. I totally can.
If we can do it through a negotiation, we'll do it.
Toddler
but I can't do it.
Speech.
I would wear a tux to the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh wait, can we do that? Can we do that?
Can we do an episode on the podcast in a Cheesecake Factory?
Episode 420. Sponsor us. Tuxedo Junction, Cheesecake Factory, Lincoln, Raid Shadow Legends.
Banana Republic.
The Gap.
You hate banana. What were you saying?
Whoa, wait, back that up. Lean in.
Lean in. You're leaning back.
You're not even in the camera right now.
You're not even in the camera.
No, I hate shopping. I hate shopping because there's only a few amount of stores that I will.
Do you go by yourself or do you go with people? See, I love my mother. I hate shopping with my mother.
Well, so I will only shop for myself if it's things that I want to buy, and the things that I want
to buy...
That's normally
what you do when you shop.
Yes, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. When I go shopping, I hit a few stores, and they're Hot Topic, Zoomies...
You're trash, and I love
it. Yeah, I could have guessed all.
Yeah, like, those are the only 3 stores I enjoy going into.
Von Mar, Brooks Brothers.
I hate Von Mar. The fact that they have a piano playing in the middle of Von Mar is the most pretentious shit.
It is pretentious, but it's bougie, and I love it.
It's like, oh man, I am a upper middle class family. Let me go to Von Mar so I can feel like a high class.
Yes, I can only shop for fine clothing when I'm being serenaded by a piano.
Yeah, like.
You disgusting.
Have you been to Brooks Brothers though?
It's nice.
It's all over the place.
I never like.
This is when you go on sale. Listen, they filed for bankruptcy a couple months ago. Slid in, got those sales. Work off their family business.
Those are the best. When you like JC Penney's
closing
down.
J. Crew.
They had it. Radio Shack.
Radio Shack.
Underrated.
Blockbuster. VHSs were like 15 cents. They died. That's what happened.
To like
Netflix killed them.
What happened to remote control cars? Like
RC cars?
They're still around.
Are they?
They got banned with.
You're not a child.
They got banned with TikTok.
When was who bought TikTok? Did somebody?
No, Microsoft put in a bid on TikTok and they turned them down. They put like a multi-billion-dollar bid on it.
So TikTok is. So Trump said we're taking out TikTok.
So it's out of the App Store, but you can still. It's like, remember when Flappy Birds got taken down because some kid killed himself?
What?
That's why Flappy Birds got taken down.
I'm getting some more Poland Springs water.
A kid lost in Flappy Birds and then killed himself.
How do you lose in...
That's such a stupid reason to take it down.
And the owner felt pressure to take it down, so he did. So that's why it was never in the App Store. So that's why that you can never download that app again.
Wait. What?
So you're saying you can get TikTok through unconventional means?
No, if you already have it downloaded, you can
definitely get it through unconventional means.
You can still use it, right?
Listen, I think the whole argument of removing TikTok for the sole purpose of preventing spying on like our kids is stupid because obviously
it's not
the government
spying.
does that or collecting data.
It's a back. There's a code in the app that's a back door that they can then use your phone. So say you have like 1 million phones, you can all try to log into one website at once and crash the website. So say you want to go to war with someone or just mess up the communication system, have like 5 million phones all try to log in and to the Department of Security's website or whatever and just crash the website. So then you can't get information out. That there's a backdoor so they can then use that app to hack your phone to do that. That was the fear in it, and then the rest of it.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I thought it was all about data.
Yeah, my point was going to be...
Google's got your data. Who gives a shit?
Oh, yeah, no.
They want to know where you are. They know
whenever someone's, like, worried, they're like, oh, I don't... Like, I'm worried about this. I'm like, it's already out there.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to admit it, but I'm already... I'm already too far gone.
I get spam calls all the time because big companies have my phone number, and I'm sure they either sell it or they get their my data stolen.
I was signing up for a gym membership out in, where I live.
Yeah.
And, it's
inconsequential area.
Way out there. And they wanted our birthday because it's like, all right, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your birthday? And my dad was like, oh, that's personal information. I'm like, Dad, people know your birthday. It's out there.
It's already...
Yeah, can't.
I don't know if I might have told you, but I was playing a match of Counter-Strike. And this, I don't know, some like, you can tell when people are mentally ill because of the way that they like talk and chat and the way that they type. And this kid he was just trash talking, and I put him down. I was like, well, when did your father leave you?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Spare no victim. All right,
God.
I put him down. I called him a weenie head. No, I told him
your father doesn't love you.
Listen, I don't remember what he said, but I know the emotion that I felt, and I know that he deserved it because of what he said.
Okay, all right.
He wasn't even saying anything to me. He said something to someone else. But regardless, I said that to him. Like about 5-6 minutes passed. He said, "Okay, Noah Redder" in chat. If some random person on the internet that I'm playing a Counter-Strike match against can get my personal name...
he found your person?
Yeah.
Oh my, that's freaky.
Yeah, that's what's scary about, like, I don't think this should be controversial, but do you know, like, what savant syndrome is?
Yes.
So if you, it's like a diagnosis of autism where somebody is autistic, and in addition to that, they're extremely proficient in like some area of thought.
Oh yeah.
So like I don't know if you saw The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
Yeah, no, that's like Asperger's. Typically, Asperger's are really good in either math or music. Like my brother has Asperger's, and he's a library.
I'm not sure how much they overlap, but I think it's the same idea. But people like that, people that are autistic, that have that are autistic savants, so like a decent portion of them, and I'm kind of talking on my ass, but a decent portion of them, at least from what I can gather, are being like utilized in terms of like computer, like
probably 100%. I feel
some of the in my mind, my perspective on somebody like that who said that to me and doxed me pretty much was that this is some kid who probably doesn't have a lot of friends, probably doesn't have like a lot of good relationships, maybe as a consequence of him being autistic, and in that way, he's somewhat like weaponized by the internet weaponized because of the internet. In that he can do things that are harmful to other people And because he doesn't exactly pick up on all the social cues and doesn't understand.
He doesn't question what he's
doing. There's no
sounds
moral
like you called him
it's
out,
like Ender's Game.
and then he burned you.
Yeah, and
sounds like he got you back.
Well, he definitely did get me back, but in a the magnitude in which he responded was much better.
No, it's interesting because if you look at like historical figures, a lot of like the greats like Beethoven, Tesla, all of it's OCD, Asperger's, and it's
Newton. He was asexual.
Right. Or
I don't know if that's
Da Vinci, Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Why do I see that meme everywhere?
I think it's the funniest thing.
Alexander the Great was there's a lot of evidence that he was gay, and then so his vanguard.
I was guessing.
No. And it's interesting because the vanguard. So typically you put your best troops at the front if you don't want them as cannon fodder. So the vanguard of your army is typically your best troops at the front or at the back, but he would put the best at the front, and what he would do was put all of homosexual soldiers at the front, and so you're dating somebody and you're standing next to the person that you love, so you're gonna fight a lot harder because it's your boyfriend right next to you.
I was thinking more so that it's like I'm gonna fuck this dude, and then he's at the front, so he's probably gonna die, so no one's gonna know.
No, it was
you have an emotional connection.
You're gonna fight harder because your loved one is right next to you. It's like that was
okay.
But so that's one. Tesla, who's the Alan Turing, clearly OCD. If not,
yeah, dude, that was a that
was a great movie.
Yeah, that was a fantastic movie.
Oh wait, is that the guy in?
He invented computers. Pretty much invented computers in the whole field of computer science.
Yeah, and genius.
Did Benedict Cumberbatch play?
Yeah,
okay.
Cracked the
I haven't seen that movie, and I didn't know what you were
you
talking
should
about,
if you get the chance. It is a fantastic movie. It's so
really
sad
good.
what happened to him.
Yeah, cracked the Enigma code, and then what I love in the movie is because everyone's like, oh, we cracked the code, we can act on all the information we get, and then they had to write an algorithm for how much information can we act on without them realizing that we've cracked our code, which is I love hate math because that's all I do all day for school.
Yeah.
But I almost love theoretical math because it's like the closest you get to philosophy in math. But it's almost like you're building a machine. You're building equations on like how to act. So I love that part of the movie because it was like, okay, how much can we do without them realizing? And it got deeper and deeper. But yeah, at the end of the war, they burned him because he was gay, and he had to go through hormone therapy.
Yeah, which is terrible.
It messed up his whole body.
Their pseudoscience of hormone therapy was like the way that anybody normally reacts to that hormone therapy is almost always negative.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just makes you depressed, it makes you super sad, it makes you suicidal. And he was like a huge value to society as a whole, and he just got rejected.
Yeah, I mean, how many great minds? Tesla was like that, and Tesla sold all of his patents or gave up the payment right to Westinghouse so they could produce power. He's like, I don't care about making money, I care about advancing society. And in the end, those people always get burned. But so it was interesting. Side tangent was, I think he committed suicide.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and one of I don't think it's true, but one of the theories was that he dipped an apple in mercury and bit into it, and so that's how Steve Jobs picked the Apple logo of an apple with a bite out of it. And I don't think
that'd be cool. I think if you even touched mercury, you would die.
Yeah, so I don't think that's true. I think my brother told me that was not true, but it's a cool idea. Tribute. Yeah.
So kind of going off of that,
mm-hmm.
Because obviously there are these big scientists back in the days or back in history,
mm-hmm.
and obviously we have no idea how people of that time viewed those people.
Right.
So in the context of today, do you think that we view great scientists differently, such as arguably or disputably Elon Musk? I know people have a lot of different opinions on it. He's
mm-hmm.
relatively controversial, but do you think that the way that people view great inventors or people that push innovation,
mm-hmm.
is that viewed differently than?
I think they're viewed differently, just like artists in the time they're in. I mean, most of the great artists, minus Da Vinci and Michelangelo, are viewed at the time as weird. Like Van Gogh, Monet. No one cares about their art until 80 years, which is sad in a way, but the legacy's carried on. So you pick.
Building off that point though, do you think because of a society we live in now that is so acutely aware of the details of how people kind of rise to power and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that as an inventor such as like Elon or like other people who are like trying to further stuff, mm-hmm. they're always going to be criticized for?
Well, yeah, I think that they'll always be lashed back, some grounded and some not.
Yeah,
but that's what you do. I mean, if you do anything, you're going to get pushed back with
Because call me an idiot, but I honestly do think that Elon is trying to further. I think he has good intentions at heart, even though there is problems with.
Well, I mean, then again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I think what is very interesting about Neuralink, at least from my perspective, is like curing neurological diseases that people have no idea how they're caused or how to fix it. I think in that sense, I definitely support it, but in the sense of like connecting people, like connecting each other's minds, it's cliche. Yeah, it's cliche, but it's kind of like Jurassic Park, where it's like,
right.
like you didn't even stop to think if we should do it.
Just like social media. Social media was purely good intentions at the beginning, and there's all these. They're still good, but there's a lot of negative with it, and it's that I feel like Neuralink, beyond the fixing, neurological diseases,
which is great,
which is phenomenal.
That's amazing.
But for the rest of society, what is that going to do?
I think scientifically, anytime you have a breakthrough and an advancement, there's always that question, because there's always good intention when it comes to, I feel like, a lot of scientific research, like GMOs and stuff. I don't think people were like, oh, this is a horrible thing. They were trying to
right,
and then it's weird. A lot of people think that nowadays, and I can kind of understand the argument from the sense of, and this goes more towards like, I don't know if you guys know what CRISPR is, but in terms of like gene editing, it is GMOs in the sense that you can edit their genes in a way that makes them more bountiful, or like makes plants more bountiful or more fruitful. That's fine, but in terms of editing genes with humans, it's and I mean it's the same between both, but genes are like ancient technology, like billions and billions of years of biological technology that we don't really even understand nowadays. So that's another thing that really is concerning. It's concerning to me that people aren't considering it as much. It concerns me that people in that field that are progressing the field aren't considering it.
I think there's a lot, and while I do homework, I really like to listen to philosophy, and I see a trend in like half of philosophy is let's go back to nature and leave civilization behind. Taoism, Stoicism, try to be as close to nature as you can. And then the other half philosophy is like, nah, we've opened Pandora's box. Like if you get into Nietzsche, you're like, let's, full mode, let's go this way. And I feel like I see that today with a lot of like, you see a lot of soap brands. They're like, oh, it's all natural ingredients. Or you see a lot of like, oh, shop, local farmers and, whole grain, whole this, all natural. And there's a lot of push to be healthier. And I think, obviously, there's a lot of technology that's good that can progress society. But I don't think it's a bad thing to be aware of, like, what are we doing to ourselves? And I like that we have the ability to make medicine and change genes to help fix diseases. But I think we have to be extremely careful with how far we go with that. Because there is a point where you try to play God. And there's bad things in life and there's good things in life. But that is life, and when you try to make it all good, I don't know how I feel about it yet.
I mean, I think no one knows how to feel about it, because when it comes down to it, anytime you're doing something along those lines of CRISPR and stuff like that, you want good intentions at heart. And like,
of course, there are very few people that have bad intentions that are progressing innovation.
But what I'm to follow that up with is, even with good intentions, shit can go wrong.
Yeah,
and the fact of the matter is,
oftentimes, surprisingly often.
The fact of the matter is, it's an experiment. Even if it's tested in lab, even outside of that, it's going to be an experiment to see how it reacts all the way down the line. Right. So it's really the question of, do you want to take a risk or not? Do you want to take that leap of faith, or do you want to just stay back and stick by what you know? Right, and I think that's a question that it's hard to answer.
You always play that game when you do something. It's like, this can go one of 1,000 ways, and you never know. But that is the risk you take, and it's it's up to you ultimately. And I think there's a great. I know you're into Stoicism. I love Stoicism as a philosophy, and
could you describe it real quick? I'm not. So
there's like three main parts. Is there's logics, physics, and ethics in it. And so the idea for logic is it's a pantheistic, it's almost a pantheistic philosophy, as in God is not a Homo sapien in the sky with a big beard and a white,
Yeah.
God is the universe and everything that connects us. Almost kind of ironically like Star Wars with the Force. God is everywhere and in between everything. God is fate. God is time. So that's, the logic, and that's called logos, is everything is connected almost by strings of fate, and that's logos. The ethics part is the biggest part of it, because the physics are here and there. They get into how the universe was created, and it's some parts of it are actually really interesting. So they're like, oh, they kind of in the beginning they're like, oh, there's four elements, air, fire, and they're like, before everything was created it was just air and fire, which is like, oh, well, before the Big Bang it's probably just a few chemicals and
probably
gases and it's
like,
like,
energy.
Right, so you're listening to it, you're like, they were kind of on the ball, but obviously their physics is dated. The ethics part is what's really big today, and it's built on four cardinal virtues of wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. Have the courage to always do the right thing, temperance into control yourself and your vices and virtues, justice, do the right thing and all that.
So how do they define justice in terms, like, what is the moral compass of Stoicism?
The moral compass is what is in your control and what is outside of your control.
Everything about I don't mean to cut you off, but everything about Stoicism is about the idea of control. And how there's aspects of your life that you can control, but in reality you need to give up the aspects outside of your control and not worry and dread on them.
So how does Stoicism assess the amount of control you have over your life, especially in today's day and age?
So today it would be like this. Obviously we all want the main good of society, and it's great to wish for that, but ultimately there's only one thing you control, and that's you. Your mind. You cannot control your body. You can do things to impact your body, work out, eat healthy, but if you get a heart attack, you get a heart attack. You're gonna die.
Have like congenital
the only
disease.
the only thing you control is your mind and how you interpret actions, and that's the big thing, is interpretation. People more like Seneca.
Yeah, which is pretty much like perspective.
Right, and a lot of cognitive behavioral theory came from it. Is people are harmed more by their interpretations of events than events themselves. Yes. Like, oh my God, my friends they're talking about me behind my back, or I failed this test, and it's like, okay, you failed a test. Is it harming you? Can you not eat anymore? What is the situation? Don't make it worse than it needs to be. And when you can no longer try to change the situation, you're called to change yourself. You need to think differently and say, what is the reality of the situation? It would be nice if all people acted well, if we all had food, we all did this, and that's what we should strive for. But here's where you're at, and you're not going to get here if you keep bemoaning the things you don't have. You just have to
pull
get
yourself
through.
up by your bootstraps.
Right, and the biggest proponents of it were Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for...
He's my guy.
Yeah, prisoned for years because of the apartheid system.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius. And it's interesting because one of the great ironies of philosophy is the two biggest proponents of Stoicism are Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, considered one of the last and only good Roman emperors, and Epictetus, a slave. And thus the irony of philosophy is something that's attainable for all human beings. As human beings, the slave and the emperor can meet on equal grounds. So Marcus Aurelius, 19 years on the Roman throne. You can have all the money in the world you want. You can drink from year 1 to year 19 all the way through. You can sleep with whoever you want. But he felt called to constantly do the right thing of, I'm going to make sure that there's laws that protect slaves. I'm going to make sure that we feed the homeless. I'm going to make sure that everyone you meet... He got tired. He wrote the Meditations as this big... It's a book of a journal, a private journal of his, where he wrote down Stoic maxims. And it's really interesting because if you think about the nature of book, it's communication. But he didn't intend it for it to be published. It's just him communicating with himself, which you're reading it and you're like, this is the loneliest person in the world, because as an emperor, you control... Rome, had 2/3 of the known quote-unquote known world at the time. He controlled all of it, And so no one is really his equal. Everyone he talks to wants something from him. So he doesn't really have any friends, not even his wife.
It's the saying that it's the loneliest. At the top, it's the
loneliest. Yeah. So all he wanted to do, he was raised from young age to be a philosopher. And that's all he wanted to do was just read and write all day. And instead, he had the misfortune of being put in as like, hey, you're going to rule the world. And that's absolutely...
Oh, darn!
Oh, shit! But the symbol he uses all the time is, the gods have put me over watch of the Roman Empire. I could leave or kill myself, but then someone worse could come along and do harm to humanity. So I have to sacrifice what I want to try to better society. And that's a lot of it is, it's a philosophy that I would be inclined to push for people going to the military, push for people who want to lead, is it's not about you, it's about the betterment of society, and you need to understand what you can control and what you can't. Constantly work on yourself, constantly try to live by virtues, temperance, justice, wisdom, and courage. Be the best person that you can be, and just work towards that. And there's no like, I messed up at this, I need to beat myself up over this. And it's like, okay, you messed up, just be better tomorrow. So it's really big today, a lot with anxiety.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that you said for leaders and people in the military, but I feel like it's something that should be pushed towards people with anxiety, because I use it for like the idea that like, hey, I know I'm trying my best, and there's things I can work on. Of course, there's always things you can work on, but you need to accept that you, in the moment, tried the best you could, and even though you could have done something different, you have hindsight now, and that's a completely different way of looking at it than in the moment.
And there's Ryan Holiday is big. He's wrote a couple of books. Ego is the Enemy, and the other one is The Daily Stoic. And Daily Stoic is really good. I have it in my back pocket, and it's it's one Stoic quote a day and the explanation, and it's gaining ground. I see it ads everywhere.
I follow the Instagram page.
They
post the same quote every day in the Instagram page.
Right, so like, it's either Seneca, Epictetus, Aurelius. But I remember watching like a vlog one time, and it had, do you know Madison Bear?
No.
Her beard.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Madison.
Yeah, I think she's a model. I think she does music, but I think she's just a model. But
I know Addison Rae. I don't know.
No. I think she was on a David Dobrik vlog. It might not have been her, but she had in the background was a book of
her.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah. She had Ego as the Enemy, and it's interesting because it's hitting people of all walks of life that Stoicism is a huge, like
she's a songwriter.
Mad Dog Mattis, General Mattis, former Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, carried Marcus Aurelius' Meditations with him on every military campaign he's been on. So it's just, I don't think only follow one philosophy, because if you take wisdom from one spot, it becomes stale and rigid.
Yeah, and also can become dangerous.
Yeah, right.
Then you get into like the worship of it.
The downside of
it becomes too much of a religion for it.
The downside of Stoicism, I'd say, like, there's a lecture by Michael Sugru. He's a PhD, I think, out of Princeton, and he gave a lecture, like 20 lectures in the 90s, and his YouTube page has all of them. They're really interesting. I love him because no note cards, he barely stumbles, he just talks for like 40 minutes.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, he doesn't say he doesn't like,
he doesn't go, yes, boobs, anyway.
Right, so he gave this lecture on Stoicism, and I listen to it when I get bored, because to me it's background noise. I say the only downside to Stoicism for today is, if you get really into it, then you're constantly like, I need to be better. Like, I need to be more virtuous. I need to do this. And at the end of the day, you gotta be like, I'm human. And Seneca was Marcus Aurelius is kind of masochist in that way. And all of his writings are like, I think one of the quotes was like, are you really so weary of bad men in the world, considering the gods have made them? Are you really so weary of bad people of the world, considering you're one of them? I mean, it's just brutal self-analysis.
Yeah, which isn't really healthy. And, but I think on a broader point, in terms of how successfully Stoicism can be applied to people of today's day and age, I think that the mindset is actually relatively prevalent. Like, a surprising minority of people ascribe to that mindset. But I think a problem largely as a result of social media is that a lot of people don't have the discipline to be able to follow that.
And that's a big part of it, is discipline.
And it's so much harder to have that in today's day.
You got to be able to tell yourself, I don't need this, and it's out of my control. I don't care.
And I think one thing to build upon that, too, was the more modern idea of philosophy, is I've always felt like when you get into philosophy, a lot of people pick their philosophies and they're
like, this is it, I'm staying in.
And I think a healthy way of looking at philosophy is kind of shopping carting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
a la carte, where like you want to look at other philosophies because questioning your own philosophy builds your own ideas, but at the same time you like I jump between Stoicism. I've read a lot on Stoicism actually, and nihilistic optimism, which is an oxymoron within its idea, but it's more the idea of like we can't control the universe, so why not do the best thing you can be to be happy? And there's definitely downsides to both of them, and I do read into other like philosophies, but I think having an idea on multiple philosophies is the best way to study philosophy in a modern day.
Yeah, I think the best way to reasonably hold any personal opinion that defines who you are is to constantly be looking at people who deny that and who oppose that and what their arguments are. On like the point of Stoicism in terms of like its view on like God and religion, I think that it was the idea that God is like present in everything, right?
Right.
So I've been taking a lot of neuroscience classes, and one of the things they talk about is the difference between like a dualist mindset and a materialist mindset, and how that approaches and how those are different approaches to psychology. And dualist, for anyone that doesn't know, dualist is just the idea that your mind is separate from your body, and materialist is the idea that your mind is your body, and in fact the mind is everything, and that everything in the universe has some aspect of not necessarily consciousness, but has almost like the precursors for it.
Right.
I might be kind of
that's interesting.
But that idea is super interesting. And
there was a study, I don't know where it was, and I'm pulling this out of my ass. It was they did a series of like plants, and if you harm one plant, does it send electrical signals to the other plants that it's being harmed? And especially
if you ever get the chance, watch the Joe Rogan has 2 podcasts with this guy Paul Stamets. He's a mycologist, so he studies mushrooms and mycelium, and a lot of what he talks about is how mycelium is like the first rendition of the internet, because underneath the like in the soil, they have vast networks of
like roots
and organisms that communicate with each other at insane levels.
Yeah,
and he's more, so he talks a lot about mycelium, but he also talks a lot about psilocybin, which is magic mushrooms,
right?
Which I'm super interested in.
Yeah,
psychedelics.
Well, it's fascinating
because the way in which they warp reality and consciousness in general, I think is crucially important to defining what consciousness is for us and helping us figure out what things are in general.
There's 2 points I want to go off that. One was I couldn't find the Seneca quote, and it was like, philosophy, why would you not learn it? You can annex knowledge of all ages and pick and choose. But I think that's great. I love reading Western and Eastern because you can learn great parts of both.
Yeah, definitely.
And Eastern I really like because it's more in touch with, Stoicism sounds a lot like Taoism and Buddhism. It's got roots in both. And I feel like it's much more in touch with not the supernatural, but more of spiritual base, which is almost like what you're saying with the plant. More things are connected than we realize. And I love that because I feel like anywhere you go, more in old world sense than, North America and Europe, especially Asia or Eastern Europe, or even Ireland in that sense. What's the superstitiousness of, we don't do that because that happens. Like, for example, in Russia, I know that it's like, it's bad luck to drink out of a glass that's been sitting upside right, or water that's been sitting in there. You want your glasses down because demons come and spit in your glass. But it's like, if dirt and dust is flying through the air and lands in your glass, you could get sick. And it's like, I feel like all of those are based on something, and I like reading those more than the scientific part, because I understand science advances us and we learn why things happen, we can learn why other things happen, but I feel like you almost lose a bit of the fun side of life.
I think you lose, in a sense, the humanity of,
right,
like, not even just life, but just everything.
It's like, why does this happen? Because this happens. And it's like, it's
I mean,
fascinating, but
yeah, it's
I don't need to know why.
Factual, definitely right if done well. But and this goes with a lot. So what I do in my free time, occasionally I'll just watch like what they're called trip reports. So people say, I took this drug and this was my experience. This was how it affected my personality or whatever.
Right.
And for quite a lot of psychedelics, LSD is viewed a little bit differently than psilocybin, than et cetera, et cetera. But for drugs like LSD, magic mushrooms, iboga, which is found I think in like a small patch of South America. A lot of these drugs.
Is that the one where they boil and you like inhale it?
I'm not sure.
It's ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, which is it's like a combination, which is amazing. Yeah. That they found like a combination of like 2 random plants in a population of like thousands. Can you imagine?
They're like, all right, let's just keep boiling this.
And, we're just gonna make some good tasting tea. It tastes like shit, and then like an hour later, you're
just on the ground,
experiencing the universe.
Did you watch Zac Efron did a series on Netflix?
I know what you're talking about.
Google it. And he goes through, and it's really interesting. A lot of people like downplayed it because it's like, oh, it's super millennial hipster, and it's like if you get past that and look at the message, it was, what are we doing to the planet that's harming us? Why are we harming ourselves? What's out there that could be really cool? What's it called? Down to earth, yeah. And what's out there that could be really cool, and what are some people doing? So, Paris, there's a movement that having clean drinking water is a natural right. Like, everyone should be able to drink clean water.
So those things are kind of concerning to me. And in that respect, and also in the respect of everybody deserves the right to the internet, I think I'm more of, I guess you could call it more traditionalist in the idea that your natural rights are what you would have if you were in the middle of nowhere and nobody else was with you. So you have the right to like kill yourself, for example, which is somewhat controversial, but
right,
to kill yourself.
Induced,
you have any of those rights if you were just by yourselves, like freedom of speech, etc., etc.
Right. The internet thing, like, I support. Obviously, I think to function in modern society, you need. I mean, every job, every school, you need access to the internet almost.
Definitely.
If it's between that and like, hey, we have starving kids in the inner city, or we have an opioid crisis in urban
everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm more inclined to try to fix those, but you can go back and forth on that. But so the show was cool because he goes to Amazon, he does ayahuasca, or the other guy does ayahuasca, I think, and it's like, oh, why are we killing the rainforest? There's so many plants we don't know about that could have great medicine. He goes to Iceland. It's like, hey, they're 100%, quote unquote green power. Obviously, it's hard to get there.
And I think, at least from a psychological and neurological perspective, meditation and mindfulness in general is clearly beneficial to everybody. And I think so. I don't know if you're familiar with the company Healthy Gamer.
No.
But essentially, this Harvard psychiatrist. He started streaming on Twitch, and what he does is he talks to a lot of big streamers and personalities and whatever. And he just talks. It's almost like a therapy session, but obviously it's not the same because you're over like Zoom or something like that. Right. But so he talks about like their personal problems, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of every single one of his sessions, he has them do like a meditation practice. And it's so interesting that meditation, it's not. So it can be viewed as spiritual 100%,
right?
But in terms of like the actual benefits that it has, it's applicable to anybody, atheist or super religious person. And one of the important points that he makes is that it's so crucial to attention, especially in today's day and age. So one of the exercises he does is he's Hindu, so there's like a Hindu practice of meditation where they look at this object. I don't know. See if you can pull it up. I'm not sure what it's called. Just look up Hindu meditation imagery. I see if that comes up with anything. But essentially, it's like a pattern of like squares, circles, triangles, in different colors. And the idea is that you focus on that for a certain amount of time, doing different exercises, focusing on it. And then after you're done, you close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, you still see reverberations of those patterns.
Right.
And the goal of the meditation is to focus your attention on keeping that pattern in your mind when your eyes are closed.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's super interesting, and it's really beneficial, not necessarily towards spirituality, but towards attention and discipline. And I can't say it enough. In today's day and age, that could be more important. And I think it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but any form of meditation or any form of self-reflection and honing of your attention is something that regardless of what you do, everybody could use, and it would be a benefit.
Yeah, I think it's called Tantara.
No, it's like look up like SRY something. Or SRI.
There's a lot of interesting. There was a woman
maybe, and that's not Sri. It's not Sri Lanka, but look up Sri Yanka.
There's an interesting. I can't remember where I read. I listened to like so many random history podcasts that this sounds like a point of us. She left normal society. I think she was French. Went to live with monks in Tibet, and wrote about the different abilities they had with meditation, and everyone was like, oh, that's taboo, that's garbage, like, get out of here. And recently they brought in a Tibetan master monk or whatever and put him under an MRI while he was meditating, and the things I saw were apparently insane. So
so an MRI and fMRI, because MRI is just showing like structure. fMRI is showing
brain
like, blood flow.
Yeah.
To reference what you are saying, it's called Shri Yantra.
Shri Yantra. It's really. So the idea is that. So for anybody that's listening, just look up. How do you spell it? Is it
SHRIYANTRA, and it's basically I have the definition up. It's basically just they're mystical diagrams that allow you to sit there and view and look at, but at the same time it helps you center yourself and think about like yourself in the universe while also viewing this object to like understand like its intricacies while also understanding who you are.
That might be more of the Hinduist definition of it, but in the context of meditation, because this guy doesn't like he's not like pressing Hinduism to people and saying, oh, you should join, but it's a really good exercise, meditative exercise to hone your attention and discipline. And I think that was just something interesting I noticed, and that's like it might be kind of. It needs to be like a guided meditation almost.
Yeah, I feel a lot of... So the two things that were interesting about meditation that they found was the ability to raise your core body temperature.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So I don't remember who it was, but I remember this one guy talking about how he used to meditate, and then he, as like an example, he sat on top of a block of ice, and using meditation, he melted the.
There's a guy in Iceland who jumps into freezing cold waters, and he meditates.
Yeah, so the Tibetan monks. So is that raising your body temperature and slowing your metabolism? Because you're in the mountains, you're not going to get a lot of food, and so those two things. Ability. This woman was talking about. Wrote about it. It was either late 1890s or early 20th century, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's bullshit." And then nowadays they're like, "Hey, like this is like possible," and there's a whole like step process and how to go through it. And it's I think it's really fascinating. I think there's a lot of stigmatism around meditation, especially with Tibet, and people are like, "Oh, it's it's a lot of chakras, for example,
like woo woo." It's not.
Yeah, it's not real. But I honestly don't see why not try to go into it. Like
there's proof.
There's proof with
that. There's scientific proof. There's been ancient, like as in I think what you might have been trying to say was like cultures have been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it clearly has shown benefit to
there's proof of people who sat in one position meditating for days and weeks. Who don't have to worry about eating or drinking because they're just sitting there meditating. Like there's proof that you can. I think there's a lot about like kind of to loop it back a little bit to what we were talking about Christmas. There's a lot about we kind of understand the body, but there's a lot we don't know and understand how
ridiculous amount. We have
two things is I love reading about chakras because it's the whole idea is there's energy in your body and it's in different pools.
I completely love chakras too.
Right. So one of them...
I don't really... I mean, at least from an outside perspective, I've always thought that chakra was kind of...
Right, so it's like very hooey because all you see is like stereotypical like 50-year-old hippie is like, man, you just gotta open your chakras.
So you also see like the anime, like it's like, oh, it's your chakra.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, but Kaylee, my girlfriend...
Whoa, bro, you have a girlfriend?
Yeah. It's kind of epic. She's a massage therapist, and they learned a lot about I forget the type of massage that you can give that
drink.
Yes. Shame.
Drink your water.
But there's a way to like release certain parts of your muscles that will like help you understand your chakras better.
When is Kaylee gonna give me a massage?
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's energy work.
So chakras are supposed to be. There's 7 pools of energy in your body. For an example, one of them is the root chakra, which is the base of the spine, and it's supposed to deal with sense of security and sense of survival and sense of like memory. And they linked something with memory and cells in the base of the spine. I'll send you the article because it's really interesting. My sister was telling me about it. And so there is some empirical evidence. Obviously, it's not all proven, but I'd almost rather just go with it and say, like, why not? What's the downside of me meditating, trying to open my chakras if they're not real? I'd rather live in that almost spiritual world than just
than deny it.
You're born when you live, and then you die, and then there's nothing. Because that's boring.
It's called Reiki.
Reiki, yes, Reiki.
And not to continue to go back to, like, social media, but it is really so relevant in today's day and age.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are really disconnected from the idea of spirituality because
how often do people
go? You can live on Instagram. You can live on Twitter.
There's
Facebook. You don't need to hone yourself. You don't even need to hone yourself as a person. You need the idea is that you just hone yourself. As in, not really yourself, but your online persona.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I've read a couple of these. I've not read the entire reports and stuff. And I'm going to be honest, I'm no expert on this. But there's CIA...
None of us are experts on anything.
There's CIA reports that say that, like, they did experiments on these ideas of Reiki and, like, changing your energy levels and stuff. And they found positive, like, ideas that this might be true. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, like, push under the rug saying, like, oh, this can't be possible and stuff. But, like, in projects the CIA has run, there's been like proof scientifically that your mind is able to think more than what we currently are thinking. Like, not think more, but like be able to become more connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not in the idea of connection between person and person, but yourself in the universe.
So are you saying more in the idea of, do you know the movie Lucy?
Not using not using 100%
Morgan Freeman saying,
you only use 20% of your brain. Imagine if you had 70%. Yeah,
not a good Morgan Freeman.
You shoot lasers out of your mind.
I'm saying more like connecting yourself with the energy that is the vast universe.
Right, and
we're all made
which
up,
is like a materialist.
Yes, because we're all made up of certain particles and stuff that are from the universe, and I think there's a part of it that comes from where we're all made up of different parts of the universe.
I love that. I just listened to a podcast, and I just jumped in because so your heart pumps hemoglobin around your body, and if you look at the hemoglobin molecule, at the center of it is iron, and the only way iron is created in the world or in the universe is stars smashing into each other. So the process of universes and stars smashing into each other is called Lanikia, and it's a Hawaiian word for the immeasurable cosmos. And I love that because at the heart of your heart is a piece of the immeasurable cosmos, and it makes you realize how small you are, but also how connected we all are. I mean, we're all made out of stardust.
Which all right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and building upon that, like we're all made up, and it's hard. It's hard to buy into that.
Right. But I would almost rather buy into that than the world of you're born, you live, and you die, and that's it. And I'm like, I don't want to live in that.
Because we are, when it comes down to it, being human is being a part of the universe. Like, like not even including like the stardust stuff. Like, just
no man is an
human is not
we're built
being a
for
part of
like
the universe.
Being
like,
human
we're
is
built
being
to be
the
in this
universe.
moment where we are right now.
Yeah.
We just got really deep.
Yeah.
And
this whole podcast just went really. We went from Cutties on Netflix to Stardust.
That's exactly why we made this podcast.
I love it.
Discussions like these. And
I try to explain to my friends at school what my friends at home are like. Because at school it's like, yeah, let's smash some Natty Light and go get drunk. And I'm like, my friends at home, we get like drunk, but then at 4 a.m. we're talking about the universe. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, like, I have no idea if this podcast is going to be, like, super huge. And I honestly don't really care because at the end of the day, you know, I really, like, at the end of the day, I really don't even care about how many views we get, how many people are listening. Mm-hmm. I just enjoy the opportunity to be able to talk to other people and have
and put it out there. If someone wants to see it, if
somebody wants to see it, that's great. If we get no views, at least we had like a multi-hour conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
in your basement. It's also there if someone wants to see it.
I'm sitting in your basement drinking the same water I've drank since high school.
Yeah, great water. I love water.
Nothing's changed. I love it. That's exactly. When we're 60, I still want to be in your basement drinking.
Dude, that's one of the things. Like for the rest of my life, I just look forward to being friends with you guys.
Yeah,
friends with everybody at home. Like that's one of the biggest things.
Because like I think we bring out the best in each other, and I think like I don't mean to get sentimental and that stuff, but like we really do bring out conversations that I've thought about, but I haven't figured out how to articulate, and like having conversations with you guys allows me to say stuff, even though it could be me talking out my ass.
Yeah, you could be completely wrong, but at least you have the avenue to say something.
Like, to say something where I'm not going to be looked at and just be like, what the fuck, dude? Why aren't you playing Fortnite?
It's like, why haven't you posted anything on Instagram?
Yeah. Dude, come on, let's go get drunk and head to this frat house.
Like,
we're going to go bang these drunk freshmen. Come on, dude. You're not getting pussed.
On the quad? Set me up. Trying to do the horizontal tango on the quad is how it be.
All right.
It was going up and then
it went down. We went from
and that's our friendship.
And that's how it is constantly.
That's life.
That's how it
is. Cosine and tangent curves, that's what our life is.
I don't talk to you about.
So do we want to wrap this up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. All right.
Listen, thank you for watching. We'll be back. We're going to try... I'd say we try and do this weekly, if not, maybe eventually bi-weekly.
In the quarantine.
You know, Parker will come back. We'll bring out other people. We're going to keep talking about random things.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I thought it went pretty well.
It was fun. It was fun.
I continue to plug Raid Shadow Legends.
Dr. Squatch soap, please.
If any sponsor wants to give us money,
Jake's mom, Anita, please.
I will give the best ad you could ever desire.
Oh yeah, we'll give us no question. We'll like do like we'll sketch it.
Like as much as I appreciate the ability to talk to other people for a long period of time.
Wegmans.
I also want money.
Yeah.
Nick DeWho's out there.
Listen, give us some money. Everything that you want will go viral.
Yeah, it will. Honestly, we are up and coming.
We will tattoo your company logo on Jake's butt.
Yeah, my ass will be covered with your logo.
My ass will be a NASCAR car if you advertise on this.
On that note,
you've heard it here first.
Thank you
for watching.
We'll see you next week.
I love you.
Adios.